I tried to be very weary of this team overcomes all the odds. This team's back was against the wall. Because everything that coaches and general managers and organizations say is about that. Every coach in the National Football League before a game on Sunday says, our backs are against the wall. It could be Chiefs versus Houston Titans. Wait.
Huh?
It could be Chiefs versus Tennessee Titans. And Andy Reid will walk into the locker room and say, our backs are up against the wall. Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans are clicking on all cylinders. Could be the best team versus the worst team in the league. And teams will create this mindset of, okay, we're the underdog here. We really need to give our everything, and we need to come out and play our best football. Well, that is not only a thing that coaches say, but for the Minnesota Vikings this season, it was true. By all measures of discussion before this season started. Not to mention, even for myself, I did predict Sam Darnold to shock the world this season. But I also predicted the Vikings to fall to have a record of 5-12 because I did not buy this idea of organizational speech. I really try to be very aware of organizational speech and hype videos and discussion and how good the team looks during training camp and how good this coach and player are doing and have this chemistry and blah, 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 blah. Every team says it. Every organization says it. It's all bogus, except for the 7 teams in the NFC and AFC that make the playoffs. But besides that, there are, 16, 17, 18 teams that talk about all this nonsense about how the team looks sharp in training camp and how good the roster looks. And I was very careful not to fall for that. So I predicted the Vikings to go 5-12 despite Sam Darnold shocking the world this season. Well, the Minnesota Vikings shocked the world. This comes from Kevin Seifert. Says, when the NFL season began, ESPN Analytics gave the Vikings a 14% chance of making the playoffs. They clinched tonight following the Seahawks' loss to the Packers, one of the least anticipated seasons in franchise history rolls on. Going back to September 6th, this was Kevin Seifert's tweet. ESPN Bet has the Vikings as a slight favorite in Sunday's opener at the Giants. But overall, it has been a long time since external expectations for a Vikings season have been so low. Vikings favored to beat the Giants by 1.5 points. The Vikings over-under via DraftKings.com was 6.5 wins. You bring in Sam Darnold as your quarterback one. You lose your rookie in preseason. Darnold's 4th team in 7 seasons. You bring in some guys that have veteran experience like Grenard, Van Ginkel, Stephon Gilmore, Shaq, but none of these guys are top echelon players. Blake Cashman. All of these guys are good players, but these guys are not face of a franchise, face of a defense type players. And this was the tone before the season started. These were the expectations. And now the Minnesota Vikings are 11-2, control their own destiny to winning the NFC North and winning and becoming the number 1 seed in the NFC. And they were predicted to win 6.5 games, a 14% chance to make the playoffs based on ESPN's analytics. I don't know why the Minnesota Vikings are not being covered more as this underdog Cinderella story, because it seems like national media would eat that stuff up. But it's all about the Lions and how good the Lions have been and how good the Lions are. Can anybody stop the Lions? Someone that can't be feeling too good this morning is Kirk Cousins, because you think about what the Vikings did before he became a part of the organization. And that was the special Case Keenum year when they went to the NFC Championship game, the catch, all that stuff. It's an incredible year over there, like 13-3, 12-4. And now the season after Kirk Cousins leaves, the Minnesota Vikings are 11-2 and control their own destiny. So as good as Kirk Cousins was in a Minnesota Vikings uniform, the conclusion is fact. The Minnesota Vikings were better in the season before Kirk Cousins than the season after Kirk Cousins than they were with Kirk Cousins himself. And that is the ultimate rip on a player, because you would think that if you are so valuable and so good to a franchise that when you leave, things go into shambles. Tom Brady, Patriots. Tom Brady leaves, wins a Super Bowl with the Bucs. Patriots are in shambles, even with Bill Belichick there. They couldn't replace that value. Vikings replaced Kirk Cousins with Sam Darnold and a few other guys around the roster and are even better. So that's the ultimate knock. And it's what's cool about the Vikings run this year is that, you know, the backs up against the wall, the overcoming all the odds, all of this speech that coaches spiel and give their players as motivation, it's actually true. Kevin O'Connell can walk into the Minnesota Vikings locker room and say, our team has overcome all the odds this season. This market had us at this. This market had us on this. This national pundit said this. Because, and you know what? I don't hate the national media for saying that the Minnesota Vikings were not going to be any good this year. Because who's going to come out and say that Sam Darnold is going to lead the Minnesota Vikings to an 11-2 season based on the career that Sam Darnold has given us so far? Doesn't seem like it would make a whole lot of sense. So I get why they're coming with these ideas that, hey, you know what? They're going to suck. They have no chance to be good. They're going to finish last in the NFC North. But you've got to give credit where credit is due, and credit goes to the Vikings organization for grabbing Sam Darnold, for resurrecting his career. Credit to Sam Darnold. Credit for the defensive players that they picked up that are steady veteran presences, that are smart football players. And you know what? It's fun. The Vikings are 11-2. Could be the number one seed in the NFC North if they finish out the season with a win versus the Bears, Seahawks, Packers, and Lions. I don't know if they will finish with the number one seed. I think that game against the Packers is going to be tough at home versus the Packers in a couple of weeks. But right now, if everything falls the Vikings' direction, they're going to be the number one seed in the NFC North, which nobody predicted before the season started. So it's incredible. And the Vikings literally did overcome all the odds this season. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button right there. And thank you for going on this journey with me.